Well, hello, dealers. Thank you so much for taking the time to join us today. My name is John Schultz. I am a marketing coordinator here at ARI. Today, we'll be talking about the importance of adding inventory images to your website. More and more people today, yeah, sir. More and more people today are not only researching, but purchasing online, as we all know, and the role of pictures is becoming more and more important. And with that said, I want to say we're joined today with Ben Camben. He's our senior website trainer here at ARI. Ben, say good morning and hello to everybody. Ben, can you hear me? Ben, hello. Can you hear me, Ben? Ben, can you hear me? Ben. Hello, Ben. Ben. I apologize for people who can hear me and maybe can't hear Ben.
All right, can you hear me now?
Hi, Ben. I can hear you. Can you hear me, Ben?
All right,
Hello, Ben.
sounds
Can you
good.
hear me?
Well, as you probably heard John say, name is Benjamin with ARI, your website company, and today we're going to be going over the best practices for inventory images you have on your site. All right, so first let's go over the agenda we have set up for today. First, we're going to cover the importance of using best practices for images, importance of using custom inventory images rather than the stock images that are provided by blog information, best practices for taking those images, using best practices for using the images on the ARI platform. We'll do a recap of all the things that we learn, of course, and how this will affect your traffic going across your website. And then, of course, at the very end, we'll go ahead and take a break for questions. All right, so the importance of using these images best practices. So obviously, as COVID-19 there was initially a large dip in sales. But they noticed that within a few months, there was actually a marked increase on people looking at these websites, looking at your pictures of your units, and of course, contacting you digitally about these units. Obviously, with the conditions the way they are, there's more customers than ever, your site to look at all of your units, and of course, engaging with you in multiple ways, whether that be email, a phone call, or using a chat client if you have one on your site. We highly, basically after COVID and things go back to normal, that also business will go back to normal. And also, there is a possibility that not only will businesses recover, but it will also be better initially. All right, so the importance of custom inventory images. 6% of online users' first action after arriving on a product page is to begin exploring the images. Clear, high-quality images are incredibly important. It puts through the general message, trustworthy seller, and it makes sure that your customers are confident that this is, in fact, a real unit. This is, in fact, on your premises, ready to buy. 75% of customers listed image of the product images is the most important feature when looking at your unit online. Inventory pages with multiple custom photos see an increase of 3-4% more page views than stock photos. Personal images prove that the unit is real and on the lot with trust in your dealership. It's always a better option to list authentic, real images, of course, rather than use stock photos. And of course, if you initially upload the unit with the photos, it is the best idea to replace those with custom images as soon as possible. Be authentic. Many people actually assume that if you have stock photos, you are taking the time to roll your unit into a photo booth where you have a non-horizon white background. And if it's either on that background or the photo is highly photoshopped, a lot of people actually suspect that the photo isn't real, even though the unit may be. Statistically, staging the unit has little to no effect on sales. And as I just stated, honestly, if you do stage the unit, it does have a tendency to raise more suspicion, and customers think it's not real because they don't get to see any of the scratches or any of the custom modifications that may have, or they may just not see a background behind the unit and think it's just a photo that you may have gotten elsewhere. Here's an interesting point that was actually brought up and made it in the edition. What if there are other units in the background? Well, if you're truly worried about your customer getting confused with another unit that is in the background, you can always just do a crop on them, so that way it shows only the unit that you are wanting to focus on. Order of images. If you're working against a crunch time and you want of real images, this is what we suggest, and we suggest doing them in this order. So first the left side of the unit, then the back of the unit, the right side. You can see any features that are on the front, headlights, bumpers, add-ons, the front angle at a 45-degree angle, and of course the instrument panel, which helps that the unit is real. And if you, of course, state a mileage or an hours or an ohms hours value on your site, they will be able to see that clearly on the instrument panel. And of course, we did, when going through and designing this presentation, I did come up with a few examples. I had my team pick the very best example to show you. So let's go ahead and click on View Example. And hopefully the example actually works. There we are. So here we have one of our larger dealers by the name of Z, just as an example, if you've heard of them or not. So GoAZ takes really good images. They're not the fanciest, but they are clear. They do represent the unit very well. So if we just go through here, you can see that they're doing exactly what we're talking about. Now, this was long before this presentation was someone at their business knew that this is the best way that you can take photos. You can see that the image, there is a lot of background. That doesn't seem to matter too much, but you have a very nice, clear image of the bike, and you can tell them go to much trouble because they didn't even clean it. But it proves that the unit is, in fact, real, which is good. We'll jump back into our presentation. On to the next area. Outdoor lighting. Outdoor pictures, obviously, we feel that using outdoor lighting is better because it has a tendency to not cause any weird shadows, blurring, or any type of shininess that makes it hard to see specific features. It shows off the color really well, especially if that particular paint has any type or reflective metallics in the paint. To ensure the best outcome, just make sure that the sun is at your back and that you're not shadows on the object, that you're standing far enough away from the object that you don't cast any weird shadows or anything like that. Now, if you do get the photo back and it is a little bit dark or it's too bright, you can, of course, use some type of photo editor to go through and modify that contrast just slightly. But as we said towards the beginning, we suggest using a photo editor the least amount as possible because not only is it time consuming, but we don't want to put across a message at all the possibility that this image is anyway. Indoor lighting. Obviously, we said outdoor lighting is better, but let's say that because it is raining outside or having bad inclement weather outside, indoor lighting is your own choice. These are recommended. So you want to avoid harsh shadows. The way to do that, to use a nice light that covers the entire unit. If you want to use indirect light. In other words, if your only light source is directly overhead, it is going to cast bad shadows, and your customers may not be able to see every nook and cranny and feature on the unit. So indirect light coming at the unit from multiple angles truly would be best. And like I said, go as far as you can without photoshopping. The thing that I'm going to mention that isn't here is if you do have a flash on your camera that you're using, whether this be a phone or a professional digital SLR or something of higher caliber, you'll want to do a basic test. Try an image, taking an image with the flash on and one with the flash off, and just use the one that later. Aspect ratio and sizing. Yes, there is an optimal aspect ratio and size for listing these units on the site. It's possible to get the absolute perfect scenario, your site taking forever to load because your images are huge and being too small so that you can't see anything. So the CMS editor accepts both JPEG and PNG, which are the two most used form images everywhere. The ideal size for your images is 500 by 500 pixels, and the file size must be below 15 megabyte. Now, honestly, if you were to take a base photo, most cameras will shoot most good phone cameras will shoot their raw photos in 2000 by 2000 pixels. Now, by sizing it down to 500 by 500, not only are you reducing the size, but if they're reducing the size, but also you could be increasing the quality as well just by downsizing it. Because sometimes if you have a large raw file and our system attempts to compress it before uploading it to the site, sometimes it can cause slight blurriness. But if you take that raw file that you have and size it down to 500 by 500 and make sure the file size is below 15 megabytes, it is the perfect sync in between your site, your photos being clear enough so they can see all the features of that unit, and your site's still loading very quickly. Image resolution on the site, we recommend 70 to 90 per inch. Obviously, you can do larger than that, and the page will load slightly less fast. Now, when I say slightly, if you were to go above the 70 to 90, we're only talking a matter of milliseconds more that it takes to load. But honestly, with the way that customers think and act these days, if your unit, particular vehicle or unit doesn't load as fast as possible, they are back to that Google search and out of there faster than you can turn around. And obviously, if you are working with a PNG file, it will automatically have less distortion. And also, I recommend a PNG slightly over JPEG, just because if you are going in and modifying it in some type of image editor, it is far less likely to distort in that image editor if you're using a PNG. File organization. Once you have the images, you'll want to keep track of them. The best thing that you can do is create in our file browser, either using the VIN or the stock number of that item. Then what you'll want to do is when you go to item, you want to make sure that you are already clicked into that file that is marked with either the VIN or the stock number. The reason this is if you are not clicked into that folder and you add it outside of that folder, with the way that our file browser works currently, you are not able to go in after the fact and click and drag it into that file afterwards. And of course, if you are working with our inventory manager, the absolute easiest way to unit in the inventory manager, if you are in the CMS editor, is to use that keyword search that is in the upper right-hand corner once you have gone into products and inventory manager. Because you can use the stock number, you can use the VIN, and any combination of the year, make, model to very quickly find the unit that you're looking for. Uploading an image. Here we're going to go through uploading an image in the CMS editor by step. Click Products from the left-hand menu. Then your second will be Inventory Manager. To the far right of where you see that unit's image, there will be a small gray button marked Edit. You'll edit. In the top navigation tab, there will be lots of green tabs. The third one on the right side will state Manage Images in bright lime green. You'll click there. And on the Manage Images tab, click Add Custom Images. First, you will folder like we were talking about. And before you go to upload images of that unit, make sure that you are, in fact, clicked into that file. And of course, begin uploading your images from your computer. You'll go through, if you want to select multiple photos once you have your file browser open, you'll click on the very first image, hold down the Control key, and then select the rest of your images you want to upload all at once into that folder, and then hit Open. Increase ROI with inventory images. 64% of buyers want extensive vehicle photos and data in order to make it easier. Allow your buyers that are looking at your site to fall in love with that vehicle. The more they see of that unit, the more comfortable they are. Multiple authentic images instead of ones that are staged or highly photoshopped will always be a better choice. And it leads to a future interaction with that customer, whether it be through phone or email, on a much more positive note. All right, so now we're going to go ahead and go through some questions that you may have. You guys can use the questions field that you see at the bottom of the GoToWebinar menu. You can either use the questions or chat field to go ahead and ask your questions now if you like.
Ben, can I jump in here? Do you hear me this time around? Ben, can you hear me at all? I'm not sure why I don't hear Ben. I'm going to try to communicate with him.
Okay, so one of the first questions that was from Stephanie. Stephanie, yes, if you would like us to email you this slide deck, we definitely can. I actually will do that personally immediately following this meeting. So that's no problem. And any rest of you that also want to have this slide deck as fallback information, I'll be more than happy to send you the file right after we get done. I will make sure that gets sent to you as well. No problem at all. All right. Well, before we move on, is there any other questions you have? Otherwise, I'm going to go into some questions that were just some that I've seen about this subject matter in the past. Okay. Well, a couple of the questions, Shanna, I will get it to you as well. A couple of the other questions that I get asked about photos a lot is, okay, Ben, I am not a large dealership. I am not very experienced in photo editing. What is a highly easy to use, free image editor tool that I can use? Well, there is one by the name of Pixlr, spelled Pixlr.com. Now, Pixlr has all of the basic tools that you would need, such as cropping, controlling saturation, color of the pictures, lighting, all of the pictures that you would see. Now, the reason that I recommend Pixlr to a lot of the people that I talk with is, number one, it's free. Number two, you use it right in your browser, so you don't have to download anything. And number three, it's fairly easy and simple to use. I actually say to a lot of people, if you can use Microsoft Paint, you can use Pixlr. And it has all the necessary tools. Another one came from one of my dealers down in Louisiana, who is actually concerned about very carefully showcasing his mowers. He's like, Ben, should I really go to the trouble of hiring a professional photographer to take pictures of my units? Well, have the extra money, time, and resources to spare to do that, go ahead. But honestly, I don't feel that it is necessary at all. You can have a great amount of success just taking pictures with a cell phone that has been, bought within the last 4 years. Now, a question that's related to that actually that same gentleman down in Louisiana asked is, well, is my phone of good enough quality to actually take good pictures for the site? Well, I said, well, what kind of phone do you have? He goes, well, I have the newest Nexus that they have available. Well, I took some time to look at that phone and other major ones that are on the market. Essentially, as long as your phone has been made within the last 4 years and it has a resolution of 15 megabyte camera and 15 pixel and up, it is completely sufficient to actually take the pictures. And the example that we looked at today, actually, that Aprila bike from GoAZ, That guy actually had just the second newest iPhone in order to take those pictures. And all he did was take the raw file, downsize it to, I believe most of his are 800 by 800. And then he simply cropped out anything extra that he didn't do a tight crop on it, but he cropped out anything extra that he thought would be distracting from the unit. So perfectly sensible. It seems that we have some more questions rolling in. Dawn, just so you know, I have just on the questions page. I have not moved in quite a while, so your screen hasn't frozen. I have just been going through this information on the questions screen. All right, let's see what other questions come through. And folks, if I do not get if I don't get all of the questions answered, just remember that I can easily send an email because I have all of your contacts. And if I don't get to your question, I can certainly get you those answers right after the call has finished. All right, let's go ahead and move on. So I'd like to say thank you to everyone that has joined me for this presentation today. And let's do a quick on the most important things before we go ahead and leave the meeting today. Number one, custom pictures, even if it is 1 or 2 pictures, is always better than stock images. Now, we went over, if you do have the time, the bare minimum and at what angles you want your pictures taken. We went over the actual size and rough quality that you want. So just as a reminder, that was 500 by 500 in the measurement of pixels. For the quality of the photo, it was 70 to 90 dpi. And of course, the file size was 512 megabytes. Now that is the optimal. Can you go slightly over that if you want slightly larger pictures? Yes. But that particular listing will load a few milliseconds slower. What else? Is it worth to hire a professional photographer? Not in my opinion, no. And keep in mind, I have been doing this for almost 5 years now, and I have seen hundreds of sites. Can you use your cell phone to take pictures of your units and have them be high enough quality? As long as it's made within the last 4 years and it is 15 megapixels and up for the main back camera, then yes, it's a perfect quality. And of course, we prefer outside lighting versus inside if you can, if it's not inclement weather. And of course, if you have loaded a unit on your site, make sure to replace as many of the stock photos as you can with real photos. In fact, if you can help it, we would prefer that you use 0 stock photos. But if you want to mix in stock photos in order to better showcase the color or some feature, you certainly can. Well, those are all of the basics covered for today, folks. I'm going to go ahead and let you guys get back to your day. But before I do, I want to say thank you very much for your very valuable time today. And until I talk to you again on one of the many other trainings that I do here for ARI, have a great day. And remember, if you're not already social distancing, please do so. It will save us all. Have a lovely rest of your week and a happy, safe weekend. Bye-bye now.